I guess if we want to go forward, you can do what you want to do, and then, or the chief can go ahead. Doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
So we'll follow the order that we had there, which is the way that the old meetings were. So Amanda, feel free to say what you want to say.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks everyone. I'm sorry that I can't be there in person tonight. This is a long scheduled talk. I'm up in Jeffersonville. And I will look forward to being there in person in the future. Mostly I just want to say this is my first meeting actually being able to attend. I look forward to working with you all. We have had some conversations at the council level. I imagine most of you have followed those. They've been fairly extensively covered in the Times Argus about some ordinance changes that the chief and the manager had put forward to address some of the rising quality of life crimes and the, statistically accurately rising quality of life crimes, especially in the downtown. That has been through some significant changes over the last several weeks of discussion at the council level. I'll let the chief sort of talk more about where it stands right now. I will say that one of the things that I specifically asked for at the council level with the new policy that is set to be finally, it's tentatively adopted. It will essentially have some small changes and be finalized in time for the ordinance to take effect. Because I think there were some legitimate concerns raised about seeing how this goes. And I'm hoping and I'm looking forward to a really deep dive into the data on how the policy works once it becomes a reality, and have asked the chief and the manager to come back and present on that. And I imagine such a report would be a topic of conversation for this committee as well, because I think that we want to get it right. We want to make sure that we are thoughtfully addressing the concerns that residents are raising across a wide variety of perspectives. So I'm looking forward to a really deep dive and seeing how this policy works. So that's all I wanted to just report on. And like I said, I know the chief has an agenda item later on, which I'm sure he'll go into this more in depth.
Good. And it sounds like a real positive forward motion that the council and the police are taking what people are saying very seriously, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think so. And I'll say I think that the policy saw some tremendous improvement over the weeks of conversation. I think it became a stronger tool with that. With those changes that were made over the course of some time, and I'm supportive of it going forward and looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
Cool. Any comments?
No, I think the policy and the conduct ordinance is the right way to go right now, and I look forward to hoping that our Barre City residents can feel safe and feel like we can manage this in a positive way. Definitely, I'm very used to the police and the community working together. My dad was a police officer, and I've seen it work. And I do think having something in place is going to make people feel at least like there's a step forward, and we can see how it works.
Good. Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I will do my report, and then I'll go right into my agenda item.
Sure.
You can't do any of your elections or any of that.
Yeah.
So for my report, we had 3 applicants that went to the academy. One did not make it academically, so that left us with 2 in the academy. That academy graduation was back in May 30th. And one of those individuals has completed FTO because he got hired long before the other one did. Okay. So the other one is still in FTO. We've also hired another individual that was sent to the part-time level 2 academy. He completed that. He's now in FTO, which is field training. We have 2 individuals in the background phase of hiring.
Oh, awesome.
So currently, right now, we have 6 vacancies.
Wow.
So if those 2 make it through background, it'll bring us down to 4. Because the one that failed out of the academy, and then we had our detective that had passed away, that opened up the 2 vacancies there,
Mhm.
and an officer leaving. So that brought it back up to 6. We had a corporal's promotion. Officer Jesse Fetcher was promoted to corporal in June. And we will be running a sergeant's promotion process in the very near future because we have an open sergeant slot.
Okay.
And then we have tomorrow, we have what's called an overview for a situation table. It's called the situation table model. I have a ton of paperwork here on that. Basically, that was the governor put out his public safety enhancement team agenda that included 10 safety points. And out of that came the situation model. They got grant funding and they're going ahead with that. The situation table has been set up so far in Burlington, St. Johnsbury, Brattleboro, Bennington. It'll be here in Barre. And then there'll be a couple other in the state. It's basically designed to be set up in areas of high need. So they have those things. I do have these. Obviously, nobody can see that on TV or anything, but that is what the thing is about. Let's see here. Nicholas just sent me a message here. Zoom's still going. He's asked, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure it is.
Oh,
okay. He said he
Because it's
lost
just,
Wi-Fi.
you know,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
there's
just.
not the little window that was up.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right at the top. Remember, there was a little window.
Oh, yeah,
Steve?
yeah.
Nobody was on anyway, right? We
No.
have Councilor Guston on the phone.
No, we couldn't. It didn't do the admin thing, so we couldn't let her. Oh, wait a minute. Over there?
Yeah, it never linked for me, so it goes.
Let me just send a
So
message
what
out
is
to him.
this situation? I'm sorry, go ahead. What does this situation table do? Like, brings together human service. Okay.
Interagency.
So that situation table, they're having the overview tomorrow with all our stakeholders here in the community. And then in September, there will be a 2-day training that takes place, and then it'll kind of be self-active, if you will. The stakeholders are supposed to run the situation table, if you will, because that's what it's called, and deal with the risk incidents, which you can see in all the paperwork there is how the model functions.
Right.
So that is it for my report.
Oops. Just back there.
Are we invited to this?
He said he can restart it. He's back home and can leave it on here.
Okay.
Nonetheless, any questions on that situation table?
I know Joe Aldsworth used to have like an informal group together that also included some of the staff here. But it was
in this, there's been a lot of variations of this.
Yeah.
Rutland had what was called Project Vision, and this is a lot like that.
okay.
It's basically set up to triage the high-risk incidents, which are obviously defined there, the mental health issues, the substance abuse issues,
Right.
Okay.
the criminal activity. It brings all the resources together,
Right.
and you sit at
Yeah.
the situation table, hence
Right.
it's called the situation table.
Yeah.
It brings it all together, and you talk about the problems, and then you tackle those problems.
Right.
Okay.
I'll talk to you about if we're invited. We're usually invited to these things, but
There's a whole list
Yeah.
of who's on there. I can certainly send you.
that would be great.
I can send
We're
you.
usually involved in them.
Tomorrow's the overview. It's
Okay.
a Zoom overview.
I know it's not on my list, but it could be on somebody else's.
So I can certainly send that to you.
That would be awesome.
So that, again, that's it for my report. If you want to go right into my agenda item,
Sure.
we can talk about that.
Yep.
So as Councillor Guston had mentioned, we've had a high volume of what I call quality of life concerns.
Mhm.
They're not so much, there are crimes associated with them, but they're not violent crimes. They're just nuisance crimes, if you will.
Mhm.
The
Yep.
retail thefts, the disorderly conducts, everything associated with the homelessness, the drug epidemic, and the mental health issues that all cause these. So out of that, all those incidents that have been taking place, we had a citywide response to these concerns over the past couple months. And I have a whole list of things that we have already completed and some things that are coming in the future, and some things that are in progress but not completed yet. Some of those include, we've had increased park and playground cleaning by our facilities department. They've been actually going in on the weekends now as well to clean up the parks and playgrounds. On the bike path, if you look at the bike path, where at each junction of the bike path with the roadway, they have 3 bollards. So no cars can go down the bike path. We have made all the center bollards removable. So there's a sleeve that they'll sit in with a lock and a pin. So our officers can actually remove those, and we can now patrol the bike path and respond to incidents in a vehicle if necessary.
Oh, cool.
So we'll be doing that and upping the patrols on the bike path. We have a quick encampment cleanup response. We actually have a contractor that when we find these encampments, we work with the individuals to provide them resources if they're so amenable. And when they vacate, they usually end up leaving a large mess behind. So we have the contractor come in and clean it up.
Awesome.
If anybody's familiar with what was dubbed the jungle, they used to call this thing the jungle. It's actually a property behind Dunkin' Donuts and the Pierre Motel. And that was just a horrendous mess back there. It's actually owned by the state. So we had the state come in and they cleaned it up. Oh, there's Paula. So they cleaned it up and they leveled the entire area. So that took care of a lot of the issue of the people that were hanging out back there.
Awesome.
We had an area on Plain Street that was all shrubs where people were hiding out in there and causing issues. We had that whole area cut back and opened up.
Nice.
We've increased our foot patrols in sensitive areas, which include City Hall Park. We have Aldrich Library walkthroughs and the train tracks in between Trow and Holden and Gustos. There's a lot of issues and activity down there, so the officers are down there. We are in the process. We have one security camera that's already been installed. We are in the process of installing 2 on Merchants Row, and one will be on a light pole at the end of City Hall and Merchants Row towards Gustos. Another one is going to be installed in the back of Sidewalk Village. And then we're going to have another one installed at the intersection of Elm and Washington on where the traffic lights are. And then we're going to have another one up on Maple, at the intersection of Maple 62 there, four-way intersection, with the ability to add cameras in the future. We also had a policy that didn't go through the PAC, but went through City Council to discuss, how the prohibitions of the security cameras. That included, we can't do the facial recognition, those types of things. We can't use the data for ill purposes. We can't, spy on people. It's just for security measures. They have also, we had Green Mountain Power come in and they have upgraded the lighting in the back parking lot in Merchants Row. We are working with Aldrich Library to remove the bushes out front and plant flowers instead, because we've had several instances of people hiding back there. They've been sleeping back there. So they want them gone too. So they're going to have somebody come remove the bushes and then probably plant flowers there.
Nice.
As I mentioned, we have the situation table that we're bringing forward to help with some of this. In the future, we're going to be looking at a nuisance property ordinance to hold landlords more responsible for the activity that has been going on in some of these houses with absentee landlords. So we'll be looking at that. Also, when staffing allows, I'm looking for a little bit of a restructuring to have what I call a community support and services supervisor position, which would be a sergeant, to oversee bike patrols, because I want the bike patrol program to start back up, and it would focus on the community outreach and community-oriented policing model. So those are coming in the future, as well as TFO positions, which are task force positions, where you can assign an officer to a task force like the Vermont Drug Task Force to deal with some of the drug issues. Now, the one thing that we've got completed through the city council was the ordinance changes. So we took, and as Councilor Guston said, we had discussion back and forth. We had originally taken Brattleboro's model. They had a public conduct ordinance. Albeit it was controversial, it did have many good qualities to it that we were looking to get. But through working with our attorney and what Burlington has done with, they had an issue up there, the same issues that we were having with their city hall park. And they went through some changes up there with policy, and they had an ordinance originally, and then the ACLU got involved and they developed this policy, and it was amenable to the ACLU, which basically had a trespass feature. And that's where we wound up. So the only thing we really did to the ordinance to change the ordinance was we took our existing ordinances that spoke about the parks and the playgrounds, and we added the prohibition for urination and defecation, because we've had, unfortunately, had some issues over the past few months. And albeit it sounds crazy, it is not illegal. Unless you're actually doing it in a lewd manner, there's no law against urinating in public or defecating in public. So we added that into the ordinance, and then we added the concept of we shall have a policy to address the trespassing. So that's in the ordinance. So the trespass policy is basically a tool that will allow us to hopefully hold some individuals accountable that do not heed our warnings and or continually come back and continually commit the same issues that are going on down in the park. So with that,
So excuse me, is that you talking about like the aggressive panhandling type stuff, or
it's
even more than that?
No, we've taken 3 categories of violations, if you will. We have like the behavior issues, where if they're fighting in the park, if they're blocking traffic, if they're causing disturbances, if they're smoking in the park. So there's minor violations. Then it's on up to category B and category A offenses, which are actual crimes. But if those crimes are committed in the parks, in these sensitive areas, we would charge them with that crime, but we could also hand them a trespass notice. And the trespass notice is for, say, for instance, you're down there smoking, and we say, look, you can't smoke in the park, and you tell us to get bent, and you continue to do it. We could give you a trespass notice and say, hey, look, you're trespassed here from the park for 1 day. If you continue to do it, then obviously, if you don't leave, you get the citation into court for trespassing. So the trespass periods are based on the level of offenses. So if you're just doing, silly minor things, you could be trespassed for up to 1 day. If you're doing other violations, or you have more than one in a year, if you have a couple in a year, you can get trespassed for 30 days, or you can get trespassed up to 180 days. So it's just something to try to hold people more accountable.
Mhm.
And if they violate that, then they would get a citation in the court for
Mhm.
trespassing.
So so say somebody, you give them one, so an officer comes around at some given point in time and just make sure that that person is not there then?
Correct. So
Okay.
it starts with a verbal warning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
obviously, if you're smoking or you're causing a disturbance, we say, hey,
Right.
knock it off.
Right.
And explain to you what the ramifications are.
Mhm.
If we get called back there, you get your trespass notice.
Right.
If you're still doing the same thing, and then you have to leave. If you continue to violate that trespass notice, obviously you get your criminal citation. There's also an appeals process built in where individuals can appeal the trespass notice to the city manager. This also covers the BOR, Alumni Hall, those areas.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay.
So what if somebody's like shooting up drugs in the park?
Obviously, if they're in possession of them,
Yeah.
so that's where it gets kind of tricky. So if you have shot up drugs, but now you don't have any drugs on you, but they're in your
Right.
system,
That's-
the only thing we can do is if you're acting in such a manner, we can, incapacitation, we can take you into protective custody.
Yeah.
If you have those drugs still in your possession, like you have drugs in your pocket, you would be charged with possession. So you would be
when I-
charged. You would be charged with the offense, but you'd also get the trespass notice to say, hey, look, we don't condone these activities here.
Right.
Mhm.
You're not allowed here
Right.
for this amount of time. Those offenses would fall into the 30 days and 180-day limit, depending on the egregiousness of what the offense was they were committing.
Right.
Okay.
So like last week when I was sitting at the light going to work in the morning and I look over and somebody's, and it's just a hit or miss whether you, I mean, I wasn't obviously going to call in, but
But if that's called in or noticed or, we respond to it or see it, obviously, if they're in possession, they would be charged with it.
Right.
They also have, the drug court model, which is here in Barre, and I don't know, I haven't spoken to the state's attorney yet on that as to how, the influx of these things into that program, if that would be a viable option for them or not. I know there's a lot of stipulations on how to be in that program.
Yeah.
And if you can't abide by the program, you're no
Right.
longer welcome in the program. So I don't know how some of these would fit into that. I do have a upcoming meeting with them in August, but it's I think it's August 27th that we're going to talk about those things. So, just another tool in the toolbox, hopefully to again try to combat some of the things that we're dealing with.
So it sounds like they still say something.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, again, we do have the camera that monitors City Hall Park, but we don't sit there and,
Right.
watch
Exactly.
it.
Right.
It's just being used for, like if
Something happens.
you had called in, the dispatcher could open it up
Mm.
and look and say, yep, there they are type thing. And
Yeah.
then we would have that ability to use that for evidentiary purposes if need be, or for intelligence for the officers arriving.
Right.
Saying, you're looking for the guy in the red shirt and he's walking down here now, he left.
Mhm.
Right.
Sorry I'm late, guys. I had this at 6:30 in my calendar.
Oh,
So
okay. You're here, so that
Mhm.
so that actually is good because now we can actually do the elections and stuff.
Good.
So I don't know. Well, yeah. So I guess at that point, does anybody have anything else for the chief at this point, or it just sounds like again there's a lot of forward movement with trying to address stuff that obviously are concerns to our citizens.
Yeah, and I know if you've watched some of the city council meetings, some of it's controversial depending on where you fall in your beliefs. It's not designed to criminalize homelessness issues. It's aimed at the behaviors that are happening.
Mhm.
Right.
July 1st, we had in the Barre area, they had 109 individuals that were exited from the hotels out of round 2.
Hmm.
So, ironically, in the past couple of days, we have seen different faces out there of,
Mhm.
Hey, here's a new person. Like, haven't been dealing with this person for a while. So it does have an impact on things.
Mm.
And it's unfortunate, but those are the things we're dealing with.
Okay.
I have a question for the committee, which is how are we deciding what the purpose is of the committee going forward? Are we taking
It's actually-
recommendations from the chief?
Well, it's actually, there was no rate, it was discuss next steps for us, including meeting frequency and stuff.
Right.
I guess that's open to thoughts, for sure.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess, what would you like to see us?
My thought
To
would
do.
be, since all of the policies have been completed now,
Mhm.
my thought would be to meet quarterly,
Mhm.
and discuss things like these. Go
Mhm.
over the statistical data,
Mhm.
brainstorm things, and in addition to that, as needed. Like,
Mhm.
obviously, if there were an issue that happened in the community or
Mhm.
something. Say we, God forbid, we had an officer involved shooting,
Right.
And it was one of the issues that happened. We could convene if necessary and,
Mhm.
and talk about those things.
Mhm. Okay.
But I would say at least quarterly,
Yep.
once a quarter. I would just word it as once a quarter or as called
As
upon
needed.
for to discuss current events, go over statistical data, get insight on on the goings on, if you will.
I know one thing that I had considered was maybe doing a back review. The one, excuse me, the one policy that we talked about was how to handle complaints from the public, because we really didn't do much of that. But just a review of that, so we're kind of maybe a refresher, if you want to call it that, and make sure that we're all kind of moving in the same direction, obviously aligned with what the police department would anticipate or look for from us, because I know part of our mission was, transparency and so on. And, so we could put that, and again, if we did that, at a quarterly meeting, it would be probably fine, unless we felt like we needed some other, something sooner than that. But yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking too, was even quarterly would be probably good.
So we have this mission statement that Bob had distributed to us in March, and so did you meet after that in April? Or because one of the meetings was canceled.
I think our last meeting was
March, was
Yeah.
it? I was on vacation, so,
Right,
yeah.
well,
I think it was March.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So do we have to update this for that? Because it says
I
we
think
have to
that-
meet monthly on the
Yes,
second Wednesday.
that would have to be updated.
Okay,
Right.
Because that went through the council and everything. So that would get updated.
okay.
So we would have to make that a proposal to the council for them to say, yes, that's
I
okay.
would just re-update that,
Yeah.
and then just I would go through the council.
Okay. Good. So I guess before we did anything with that, should we probably backtrack, because we still, right now there's only 3 of us. I don't know. I sent an email around to everybody today. I think it was today after I heard from Abby, just that, we're at quorum minimum. And I don't know, would that be something that the council would want to reach out to?
Yeah,
The public to say, hey.
Normally the council puts out the vacancies.
Right.
And obviously any appointments have to go through the council.
Correct.
But yeah, that would, they can put out their vacancies. So how many is there? There's normally 5, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there has been 5,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, what the high point, yeah.
And
If I may just jump in
Yes,
briefly,
please.
council can and absolutely will advertise vacancies. That's a sort of regular part of committee work at the council level, but I would also encourage, I think personal recruitment often works well. So I would encourage, if the newly elected chair today wanted to do a post on Front Porch Forum and say that, we have had 2 people step down, here's the kind of work the committee does. If this is something you're interested in, please attend a meeting, because council is always going to ask, have you attended meetings? Do you understand the work of the committee? So there could be an extra layer of committee members doing some outreach to fill those vacancies beyond the simple advertisement of them.
Cool. Good. Thank you. So, well, that being said, I guess we got to elect some people. Otherwise, we really can't move forward. So I guess it's probably standing vice chair. We do need to elect a chairperson.
We nominate you, Steve, or I nominate you, sorry.
Okay. Yes, I will take that position. Okay, so that's me. But we do need a second.
I'm open to it.
So you're seconding her nomination?
Oh, I'm seconding your nomination.
Yeah.
They meant vice.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. And I guess if you do Robert's rules, if I'm not mistaken, are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I guess all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, cool. We can do that. Then we're going to need a vice chair.
He said he was interested.
Yeah, you have seniority, so it's
No,
your-
that's fine.
Yeah, I'll nominate Paula.
Okay.
You're going to second?
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. And we need we need a secretary.
You want me to be that person?
I'll nominate Sandy.
What do I have to do? Connect us to Zoom?
The secretary just handles the notes,
Okay,
puts out the minutes.
I can do that.
Okay. You're going to second that? Okay, both seconded. So, any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Cool. All right, the ayes have it. Excellent. So, yeah, now would be a good time to, yes, definitely move forward and bringing the outreach to the community and saying, hey, it'd be great to have some other people with some new ideas and new, whatever, to be part of this. And, but obviously making sure that they're on board with what we're supposed to be doing here. So that I will put something on the front porch regarding that.
Does the vice chair have monthly/quarterly responsibilities that I should be aware of?
Mostly it's just, if for some reason I couldn't be here, you would take over the meeting.
Okay.
So I'll be responsible for putting the agendas together and keeping in touch with Amanda and with the chief and
Okay.
so on. And hopefully
So
learning
when
better how
you-
to Zoom.
When you do put out the agenda,
Yes, sir.
it has to also be carbon copied to the email of the public notices at barrecity.org. And that goes to
Okay.
The manager, Roxanne, and I think the assistant city manager, because
Okay.
they have to publish them.
Oh, yep.
Great.
Okay.
How many days in advance?
I think they get published on Friday for the Wednesday meeting.
Okay.
So
Nicholas can
usually by
probably-
Thursday, Bob was sending them to Nicholas. And
Right.
he would have them out.
Okay.
This last time I saw that nobody was CC'd, so I shot it to Nicholas and he
Okay.
published it.
Thank you.
Gail, just a quick note. First of all, congratulations everyone on your new positions. I had got to duck out and go and give this talk, but I've enjoyed listening in. Thank you for being flexible and helping me debate my phone. I look forward to seeing you all in person in the next meeting.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
So can I have a question with regards to just trying to not monitor, but like follow like some of the plans you have in place? Do you have like a formal plan? Is that like part of your department strategic plan, or how does that work?
For which one?
For like all the things you were saying, like some of the things you've been doing, but things that,
So
maybe
the only
happening.
thing, to be honest, the only thing that I mentioned that's in our strategic plan is the restructuring with the community support services supervisor.
okay,
All these other things are just, for instance, we meet every Tuesday in a department head meeting,
mhm,
and these issues have been topics because obviously
Right.
it affects DPW, it affects the facilities
Mhm,
department. And the manager gets a lot of complaints, so
Right.
we talk about it, and keep track of everything and say, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that?
okay,
So there's
Yeah.
no strategic plan that's formally written.
okay.
This is just all the things we've done so
Tactics
far
related
to tackle these issues.
Yeah, okay. And then when we meet quarterly, like, will we be able to look, like, will you bring us some of the data on like
Absolutely.
how many
Mhm.
things have fallen under this conduct
Yep.
ordinance and
Mhm.
kind
And
of,
that's what Councilor Guston had brought up, saying
Okay.
it was a bone of contention because it was controversial with some on the council.
right,
So they're like, hey, we want to see the data in 3 months to
Uh-huh.
see, how this is working.
right,
So
And then some of that data, you may have said it already, but say that we've had X number of incidences related over the last 3 months, 4 months.
Right.
Okay.
and how they were handled,
Mm-hmm.
if trespass notices were issued,
Mhm.
if the trespass notices resulted in a criminal citation because
Mhm.
of the trespass notice,
Yep.
all that data that council wants.
right,
Cool.
okay. So
Good.
we'll be looking at the overall data and then kind of the carve out of
Correct.
that. Okay, good, because that was presented at the council, the overall, and it was like,
Yes, and I got
Yeah.
to be fair, I got a public records request from one of the individuals that was on the Zoom meeting that
Mhm.
said, hey, you've given the overall data. I would like to know how many of those occurred in public as opposed to private and those types of things. So I have to break that down further for this person.
mhm,
And the hiring of the community support supervisor, does that increase capacity of the?
No. It would just, so right now we have 3 patrol sergeants because there's 3 shifts and we have a detective sergeant. It would take the opportunity for another individual to become a sergeant, and one of those sergeants would become a community support services supervisor.
mhm.
I wish it could increase capacity, but
Mhm.
with the
Right.
vacancies, it's hard to hire people now.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
So what happens with the vacancies? Like, did others just have to like do overtime or
Yes.
like, yeah,
So, for instance, say day shift is supposed to have 5 officers assigned to it. Obviously,
Right.
you'd have officers on days off type
Yeah.
thing. We don't like to have any less than 3 officers on a shift.
Mhm.
Right now, we're running at 2 officers on a shift. And
Wow.
if somebody calls in sick,
right,
then you have to post it with overtime.
Right.
For
Mm.
special events, you have to post all the overtime, and it's very taxing.
right,
Not, I don't want to say that I'm not worried about it monetarily because
Right.
in a budget you have to be, but I'm talking about taxing on the officers
Mhm.
that are working all the extra hours.
right. So do we have, like, when my dad worked, and, when he got older, he was working multiple jobs and was pulling back some. And it was like he became a special officer, so it was more for like different assignments,
We
like,
do have reserve officers.
okay,
Mhm.
We currently have 3.
okay,
They only do, right now, they only work special events and they do transports to the
oh,
corrections.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Like he would do like stakeouts at night or like sometimes a big construction like different whatever's different area, but
We currently have
so
3.
they had like a whole, it's almost like a per diem pool almost, like, yeah.
So the reserve officers, they have been officers for quite a while, or
Yes, they have to be at least level 2 certified
Mhm.
to be a reserve officer. And for instance, we have one reserve officer that also works for the sheriff's department,
Mhm.
but also has a full-time job.
Yeah,
Ye-
So, he'll
Yeah,
work sheriff
something like
patrol.
that.
If we call him, he'll come here and do what we need him to do as
Mhm.
well. Joe Ellsworth is actually a certified police officer. He's a reservist for us as
Oh,
well.
wow.
Oh, okay.
And then we have another individual that was a retired officer from
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
Kind of like your dad just pulled back and said, okay,
Yeah.
I'm retiring, but I'll still do these things.
Right.
And we have that individual as well.
Oh, wow. Good. Cool.
We need more of them.
They probably wish they had more.
There are some limits with being a level 2 because you have to be level 3 certified.
Mhm.
Because level 2 by state law, they have some limitations on what they can and can't
okay.
do. So
Yeah.
they have to be. It's kind of like being operating under a nurse's license. You can do this under my license type thing.
Right.
It's the same in police work for professionalization
Yeah.
that they went through several years ago. When they made it, instead of part-time and full-time, it's level 2 and level 3. They
Right.
restructured everything. And that's what came out of that is you can only do certain things
Oh, okay.
unless you're in the presence and operating under a level 3 officer.
I get it.
So we couldn't take a reserve officer that wasn't level 3 certified and
Yeah.
say, okay, go out on patrol.
Yeah.
Mm.
See, like
Work
my
as a
dad
patrol officer.
could, so that was years ago.
The
Maybe
only one
it's-
here that
different
could
state.
is the one that's been retired because he's level 3 certified.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Just listening to that makes me think of being part of this now for the last few years. It's amazing what goes into being a police officer now. I mean, even with the stuff we're talking about with the ordinances and everything, and so much of the emphasis on mental health training and how to address that and de-escalate and all of that. So, wow, I'll never be accountable.
Times have certainly changed.
For sure. So, I guess, do we want to then consider, I don't know if we have to vote on it or not, probably should, to changing to a quarterly format. And then obviously, as needed, if something, comes up.
Will you update this or who updates
Yeah,
this?
I can update that because I have the Word format that Bob and I were sending back and forth. So I can update that with that verbiage and send it out so that the council can see it, approve it, or whatever. Okay.
Cool.
Does this cover, like, in general, things like we're talking about with regards to overseeing the data or like ordinance,
I don't think that needs to be in there.
Okay.
I think the only thing that we would need to change is the meeting schedule.
I'm thinking just by definition, because we are, well, no, we're advisory, not oversight. So, we can't be oversight.
Okay.
Yes. I don't know
Which
this.
months do we want to meet? What should our schedule be?
So the
Every
next,
3 months.
so I'm assuming we would want to do, because calendar year starts in January, next quarter.
Well, if you wanted to do, you could do March, June, September, March, June, September, and then December.
December. Yeah. So next one will be September.
We should do it's the second Wednesday, okay. With, like the holidays and that, people a lot, but it will be early enough in the month.
Okay.
That would be my suggestion.
Sounds amenable to everybody, so I guess we'll go with that. Good. So,
Okay.
anything under miscellaneous? I guess the next thing is motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, got a motion. I get a second. I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Chief.
No problem.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And,